In this part, we will see 5 more SQL interview questions. The first question is user activity for the past 30 days. So, for that, we have a table called as activity, and the columns are user ID, session ID, both are integer data type. Then, activity date is of date data type, activity type is of enum data type, which means it can have only specified values. This table may have duplicate rows. The activity type column is enum category of type, open session, end session, scroll down, and send message. So the activity type column can only have these four values. Any of the other value, if given as an input to the activity type, it will be showing as null and it will be invalid. The table shows the user activities for a social media website. Note that each session belongs to exactly one user. So the table is about activities on a social media website by different users. So our question is write a solution to find the daily active user count for a period of 30 days ending on 2019 7/27 inclusively. So the date should be included. A user was active on some day if they made at least one activity on that particular day. Return the result table in any order. The result format is in the following example. So we have an input example as well as the output example given below. So this is our input table, that is activity table with user ID, session, activity date and activity type, and the output is day and active users, which means we should have an output with two columns, which is day and the number of active users in the second column corresponding to that particular day. Now let us start writing query for the same. We will start with a select clause. Select, and the day corresponds to activity date. So we'll take the activity date from the activity table. Activity underscore date, and the column name is date. Will give us date. And the second column is active users. So we want to count the number of distinct active users from the activity table. For that, we'll take count of distinct active users. It is user id, so the active user should be counted by the number of user id, user underscore id, and the column name is active underscore users, and this is taken from the table activity. Now in the where condition we have to specify the condition specified in the question, that is find the daily active user count for a period of 30 days. Let us write a where clause for the first condition. Where active date greater than, we will use the date add function, and inside the date add function we have to specify three parameters. The first one is the day, which corresponds to the interval. The second one is time period, that is 30 days. So here we have to count the previous 30 days, that is minus 30. Now the third parameter is the actual date, that is 2019 7/27. Let us copy this date. We will use the date over there. The first condition is satisfied, that is user count for a period of 30 days. And now we have to add one more condition in the where clause, that is the days ending 2019 7/27 inclusively. So we have to include that particular day also, that is the end date also should be included in the result. For that we will use a second condition in the where clause, that is active date. It's not active date, it is activity date. Yeah, the column name is activity date. Activity date less than or equal to the particular date, that is 2019 7/27. Now we have completed writing our query. We have to include one more condition, that is group by clause before running the query, because we have a aggregate function in the select clause. Now we'll use a group by clause. Group by activity underscore date. Now let us run the query and see if we have the result. Now our solution is accepted. So we have to make sure that even the column name should match with the expected output in order to get the expected result. Now let us move on to our second question. The second question is find the biggest single number. For that, we have a table called as my numbers, and it has only one column, that is numbers, which is of integer data type. This table may contain duplicate. In other words, there is no primary key for this table. Each row of this table contains an integer. A single number is a number that appears only once in the my number table. Find the largest single number. If there is no single number, report null. So our aim is to find the largest single number from the table. That is, a single number is a number that appears only once in the table, and we have to find that number which is the largest. The result format is in the following example. So we have an input table, that is the my numbers table, has a column called as num. It has multiple input, that is of integer data type, and output we have the same column name num, but it should return the maximum single number from the input my numbers table. That is, the single numbers are 1 4 5 and 6 from the above table. That is, 1 4 5 and 6 appears only once in the my numbers table. If we take 8 and 3, it appears two times, so it is not considered as a single number. So from the input table in the first example, we can see that 1 4 5 and 6 are single numbers, and from those particular numbers we have to find the largest number, that is 6. So let us start writing a query for the same. So here first we have to find the single numbers from my numbers table. For that, first we have to write a subquery. So we will start with a select clause, select, and we have to return the numbers from the my numbers table, and we have to return only the numbers which is appearing once in the my numbers table. For that, we will use a group by clause, group by. Now in the group by clause, we will put num. Then we will use a having clause, having count of star, that is the count of numbers equal to 1. This query will return only single numbers from the input table, that is my numbers table. Now let us put this query inside a subquery, and from considering this subquery as an input table, we have to find the maximum from this table. That is simple. We only have to use a max aggregate function on the numbers column, that is select max num, and the column name is num in the output, and this is taken from the subquery, and also we have given an alias name. Now let us run this and see what is the result. So our solution is accepted, and we have the right result. Now let us move on to our third question. So our third question is finding employee bonus. For that, the first table is employee table, which has four columns: employee ID, name, supervisor, and salary. And employee ID, supervisor, and salary are of integer data type, and name is of variable character data type. Employee ID is the column with unique values for this table. So we can consider employee ID as the primary key. Each row of this table indicates the name and ID of employee in addition to their salary and ID of their manager. Now coming to the second table, we have a table called as bonus table. It has two columns, employee ID and bonus corresponding to particular employees, and both are of integer data type. And employee ID is the column of unique value for this table. This employee ID acts as a foreign key or a reference key to employee ID from the employee table. So employee, each row of this table contains the ID of an employee and their respective bonus. And now we have to write a solution to report the name and bonus amount of each employees with a bonus less than 1000. Return the result table in any order. Now we have to write a query to find the name of employees who are earning a bonus less than 1000, which means the employee can have a bonus null as well. So we have to consider both the conditions in the query. Now let us start writing a query for the same. We'll start with a select clause. Now we want employee name from the employee table, the first table, that is e dot. Let us give an alias name E for the employee table. And before writing the column names, first of all, let us join the two tables. Then we'll write the columns which are required. So we want two table, that is the first table is employee table, and the alias name is given as E. And the second table we are going to join with the employee table. We will use a full outer join. Full outer join on the second table, that is bonus table. We will give an alias name as B. Now we have to join these two tables, that is employee and bonus table. For that, p dot empid employee id equal b dot empid employee id. So these are the columns which we use to join the two tables. Now we have to write the columns which we require in the output. So in our output we require two columns, that is name and bonus amount of each employees. So name we will get from the employee table, that is p dot name as name, and the second column we require is the bonus, that is b dot bonus from the bonus table. So we will give the name as bonus. Let us check the expected output also. Yeah, so in our output we want name and bonus as two separate columns. Now this is taken from the table which we have created using the full outer join. Now we have to specify where condition or the filtering condition using where clause. Now in the using where clause we have to specify that amount of bonus amount of each employee with a bonus less than 1000, that is b dot bonus less than 1000 or b dot bonus is null. So this is the condition we have to specify. Now let us run the query and see if we have the result. Run this. So our solution is accepted and we have the result. We have returned name and bonus corresponding to each employees, and for employees who does not have a bonus it is represented as null in the output. Now let us move on to our fourth question. Our fourth question is find customer referees. For that we have a table called as customer table. It has three columns: id, name and referee id. And id and referee id are integer data type. Name is of variable character. In SQL, id is the primary key column for this table. Each row of this table indicate the id of a customer, their name, and the id of customer who referred that particular customer. Find the name of customer that are not referred by customer with id 2. Return the result table in any order. So the question is to find the name of customers who have been referred not by id 2. So this is the input table. So we have id, name, referee id, and we have to return the name from the input table for which that particular customer is not referred by the customer whose id is 2. Now let us start writing query for the same. We'll start with a select clause. Select. We want the name of customer, and this is taken from the customer table. And now we are going to specify a where condition where referee id not equal to 2, that is referee underscore id not equal to 2. And one more condition we have to specify, that is or referee underscore id can be null, that is null. Now let us run this and see if we have the result. Now our solution is accepted, so this is a valid input query. Now let us move on to our fifth and final question. So our fifth question is find the number of unique subject taught by each teacher. For that we have a teacher's input table. It has three columns: the teacher ID, subject ID, and department ID. All the columns are of integer data type. Subject ID and department ID is the primary key. That is the combination of the two columns is considered as the primary key for this table. Each row in this table indicate that the teacher with teacher ID teaches the subject ID in the department ID. And now we have to write a solution to calculate the number of unique subjects each teacher teaches in the university. Return the result table in any order. And this is the sample input table which has teacher ID, subject ID, and department ID. And in the output we require teacher ID and the count of distinct subjects taught by a particular teacher. Now let us start writing query for the same. We'll start with a select clause. The first column we require in our output is teacher ID, that is teacher underscore ID. Now we'll count the number of distinct subject taught by each teacher, that is count of distinct subject underscore id, and this column is named as cnt because in our output we want this column name as cnt. And now this is taken from the teacher table, and we have to specify a group by clause. Now group by teacher underscore id. Now we have completed our query. Let us run this query and see if we have the result. So our solution is accepted. So we have completed solving 5 more SQL interview questions. Thanks for watching, and if you like the video, subscribe our channel. Thank you.